What is up, everyone? Today we are going to be looking at rares inside the Lizardmen faction and some useful ones that there are. We are going to start off with Muckstalker. His A1 has a small chance of putting block buffs, but nonetheless still a useful debuff to have. Now his A2 puts a sleep for 2 turns on the target, books down to a 2-turn duration. Very useful for that of the Sand Devil's Necropolis. When that dungeon came out, he was the key for a lot of the teams. He also has a passive that puts continuous heal on him for 2 turns if incoming damage exceeds more than 20% of his HP in one attack. So keeps himself alive, has a little bit of health for faction crypts if you'd like, but nonetheless very useful. Next we are going to look at Skink real quick. We're going to do a honorable mention for him because of his A1. Ignores block damage and shields. For early game, I know block damage and shields can be a pain in the butt when you're fighting, whether it's an arena or I believe it's the Magic Keep where it throws on that huge shield, and being able to ignore it can be very helpful. His A2 has a chance of putting decreased defense and heal reduction, and then his A3 just allows him to crit if there's a heal reduction. So once again, honorable mention because of his A1. Next up, we are going to hop over to Gator. Gator has an A1 with a small chance of putting heal reduction for 2 turns. And then his A2 puts increased attack, small version on all allies for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. But it's really his A3 that we're interested in. 3-turn cooldown removes all debuffs from all allies. Allows us to go through and cleanse. Being able to cleanse is very helpful, and especially having it be for all allies and all debuffs can be very helpful. Next up, we are going to hop over to Skullsworn. Skullsworn is an interesting one. I debated on whether or not to put him on, and ultimately I did for a couple of reasons. For starters, the Lizardmen faction is a faction that does not have very many rares to begin with, and not a lot of them are very good. His A1 attacks an enemy twice, has a 20% chance, books up to 30 of placing extra hit. And then his A2, it is on a 4-turn cooldown, but it puts increased speed on him with a counterattack. Now the reason why I included him is because the A1 can actually hit pretty decent. The reason why I came across him to begin with was because on my main forever ago, I ended up pulling, it was either a 5-star or a 6-star soul on him. I believe it was 5-star. So I built him out just for the fun of it, and was actually surprised at how much damage he could put out. And so used him in a lot of my rare-only secret rooms or in faction wars for the longest time because of the potential he has. And he also can give speed in the faction crypts for early game as well. Then we are going to hop over, after Skullsworn, we're going to hop over down to Metal Shaper. Metal Shaper's A1, small chance of stealing a random buff when he attacks. Nice one right there. His A2 puts a shield buff on all allies for 2 turns. It's on a 2-turn cooldown, so you can guarantee having that shield out the entire time. It's very helpful for Scarab King because of that passive where he counterattacks if there's not shields on your allies. But even in content where you're just going through waves, having a shield up the entire time can be very helpful. Then his A3 removes all debuff from the ally with the lowest HP, and then heals him by 20% of this champion's max HP, puts increased defense on the ally for 3 turns. So on a 4-turn cooldown, that heal can go up to a 40%, so it's based on him, so you can build him nice and high on HP, and use him as basically a chance to go through and keep people alive. And then last but not least, we are going to look at Harrowspecs. His A1 attacks an enemy twice, has a chance of putting weak version of poison for 2 turns. His A2 fills the turn meter of all allies by 15%, and then puts increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns. So a little bit of a speed boost. Not as, efficient as like an Arbiter, but for a mini Arbiter, it can be pretty good. Then he's got his A3, which is revives a dead ally with 30% HP and 30% turn meter. So for Lizardmen, he can be a very good carry in the faction wars when you need a reviver for those early moments. There's a lot of good revivers in the Lizardmen, but getting them right off the bat can be a bit hard. So having someone who can do that, especially with his ally speed in arena by 15%, can allow you to basically build him nice and fast, boost your allies up, and then have them go through an attack, and if someone dies, bring him up. So he can be very good for arena. Now that's going to be all for today. It is a bit of a shorter video for today, so I'll probably release this one along with another one when I do. But as always, thank you for enjoying the video and watching. If you've used any of these champions and enjoyed them, or if I skipped over any, please let me know in the comments. Right now our goal is 50 subscribers, so if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Keep on raiding.